The scene was gruesome. It felt less like an apartment in Pune and more like a horror movie set. The white tiles were drenched in blood, the peach walls streaked with red. Broken mirror shards glittered on the floor beside scattered coins. The couch was torn open, its yellow stuffing spilling like entrails. A blood-stained desk lay in shambles. Utensils from the kitchen were strewn across the floor, now sticky with drying blood. Torn curtains let sunlight invade the room, exposing the horror in full. I took out my camera. Each step on the wet floor felt sinful, but I had to photograph the corpses. The first was an elderly man. His hands and feet were reduced to stumps, and his eye sockets were hollow pits. Snap. By the window lay a teenage boy, clutching the torn curtains. His stomach had been sliced open, intestines spilled out in a tangled mess. I fought the urge to vomit and took another picture. In the corner lay an orange cat, mouth wide, leaking thick black blood. Its pupils seemed to twitch, maybe post-death reflexes. But something about it felt wrong. The smell was unbearable. I stepped onto the balcony for air. 2 cops stood there, talking casually. "The girl's insane," one said, standing with a bloody cleaver, claiming the cat did it. His partner laughed. "Yeah, sure. Maybe the cat chopped them up and then puked itself to death." Their mockery disgusted me. I went back inside, forcing myself to finish. In the bedroom, I noticed bloody paw prints climbing up the wall to the ceiling. I took a final photo, my unease deepening. That night, I couldn't stop thinking about the case. The images replayed endlessly in my mind. My roommates barely noticed. They were glued to their phones. I tried to distract myself with a movie, but my thoughts kept returning to that lifeless orange cat. I must have fallen asleep, because I woke suddenly at 2:03 a.m. A faint mewing echoed through the dark. It was sharp and distant at first, but constant. Annoyed, I assumed one of my roommates had brought a cat home again. I got up to complain. The lights wouldn't turn on. Power was out. Using my phone's flashlight, I walked down the corridor toward the sound. It grew louder with every step. When I entered my roommate's room, it stopped. Silence. My friend lay asleep, unmoving. I checked under the bed, the shelves. No cat. I sighed and returned to my room. My phone battery was nearly dead, and I had no charged power bank. I set the phone aside and tried to sleep. But the mewing started again, louder this time. I shoved earplugs in, but the sound only dulled for a moment before returning, sharper and shriller. Frustrated, I tore the plugs out. The mewing was now so loud it hurt. I covered my ears, but the noise pierced through. Furious, I stormed back down the corridor. The sound came from my friend's room again. When I entered, the mewing didn't stop this time. It intensified. My flashlight beam swept across the room and landed on my roommate, still sleeping. The sound was coming from him. At first I thought the cat was hiding under his blanket. I pulled at the sheets. Nothing. Then I realized the awful truth. The mewing was coming from inside his mouth. His lips were slightly open, but the sound was deafening. I shouted, shook him, kicked him. He wouldn't wake. My ears throbbed. Desperate, I tried to close his mouth with my hands. The sound didn't stop. I jammed objects into his mouth. My phone, a bottle, anything. Nothing worked. My eardrums screamed. In blind panic, I shoved my hands inside. His gums were wet, teeth sharp. My fingers touched something fleshy and pulsing, his tongue. And before I knew what I was doing, I ripped his jaw apart. The sound stopped. My roommate convulsed, choking on blood. He died in seconds. I stood frozen, horrified at what I'd done. Then, from the dark corridor, 2 glowing eyes appeared, small, yellow, and unmistakably feline. My blood turned to ice, the cat, the same one from the apartment. With shaking hands, I raised my phone's light toward the eyes, but when the beam hit, the eyes were gone. Only the open door to my other roommate's room remained. My gut twisted, but I had to check on him. The floor leading inside was smeared with bloody paw prints. just like at the crime scene. I followed the trail to his bed. The orange cat stood on his chest. It grinned at me. I didn't even know cats could grin. My friend lay still, faint snores rumbling beneath the cat's paws. The creature looked at me, then began to move. In horror, I watched as the cat slowly pushed its head into my friend's mouth. One paw at a time, it slithered inside him like a snake, head, body, tail, until it vanished completely. Then my friend's eyes snapped open. They were no longer human. Thin vertical pupils glowed in the flashlight's beam. His limbs twisted and cracked, bending backward. He crawled off the bed on all fours, his movements jerky and unnatural. The hiss he let out wasn't human. My heart pounded so hard I could barely breathe. I turned and ran to the front door, grabbing the latch. It wouldn't budge. Something held it shut from the other side. I pulled and screamed, but it was useless. The hissing behind me grew louder. I turned slowly. The thing, my friend or whatever was left of him, was crouched in the doorway, glaring with animal rage. I scanned the floor for a weapon and saw a dumbbell. I dove for it, snatched it up, and waited as the creature charged. It leapt like a tiger. I swung with all my strength. The dumbbell crashed down on its skull with a sickening thud. It screamed, not a human scream, but the high-pitched shriek of a cat. I struck again and again until the room went silent. Its head was crushed, blood and brain matter splattered across the floor. I collapsed, shaking, gasping for breath. I had killed both my roommates. Or maybe I had killed monsters. I didn't know anymore. Time blurred. Then a bright light flashed behind me. The door creaked open. Voices shouted, "Drop your weapon!" I let the dumbbell fall from my hands. The lights flickered on. Police officers stormed in, guns raised. Behind them, horrified neighbors watched. They grabbed me, slammed me against the wall, and cuffed my hands. "Wait! It wasn't me! It was the cat! The cat did it!" I screamed. One officer barked, "You psycho! You murdered them with your own hands!" "No, please! The cat!" No one listened. As they dragged me out, I saw it. The orange cat, lying in the corner, dead again, its mouth gaped open, oozing black blood. And just before they pulled me away, I saw its pupils constrict.